tale as old as time, but can it be told twice? That is what we're talking about today, everyone, is Beauty and the Beast 2017, the live-action adaptation, which is in the current trend of Disney to recreate their old classic animated films into live-action movies, and stars Emma Watson as Belle, as a character who, well, is pretty much similar to the movie, or to the original film, which is a headstrong woman who likes to read a lot and is pretty smart. They add a couple new nuances to her character, but aside from that, this entire movie is almost shot for shot. There are certain sequences they add in, there are certain songs that they switch around, but other than that, I feel that this movie is kind of worth it. It's kind of nice to see what they could do for live action that the animation couldn't, and to see what the animation could do that the live action adaptation couldn't. This movie to me is okay. You know, if you don't know anything about Beauty and the Beast, I would suggest watching the animated version first and then watching this one. There is new song sequences that are done by Alan Menken, who did the original music for the movie in 1991. He came back to score the entire film, which was a pretty nice callback to the original. But I'm sure everyone is wondering, does Angela Lansbury come back in this movie? No, she doesn't. But not to worry, not to worry. The Tale as Old as Time song, the Beauty and the Beast song that plays in the ballroom dance, is not screwed up. In fact, it's actually well performed by the new cast members, and I feel that the entire movie's song, you know, the entire musical part of this movie is well handled. The only thing that I have a problem with the music is that in the first song sequence with Belle, when you have tons and tons of extras doing the song, it makes the entire village seem more crowded and flustered with too many voices. I could have done without maybe 2 or 3 voices at one time towards the end of the song. But other than that, the music is well done here. Now, as for characters, they're pretty much the same as the original, save for LeFou and one new character, which I won't go into in this movie review. LeFou is pretty much the same as the original, but they do hint a little bit more towards the LGBT side of him, but it's only for like 2 seconds, really, in the film. Like, it's mostly towards the end, but he does have an affection towards Gaston, which in the original he kind of does as well, but to a kind of a different degree than what I think it did. Now as for the set design is actually pretty well done. I like the castle, actually. The castle is just a bit tiny different, and they make this sort of new addition to the whole curse that whenever the petals fall, parts of the castle fall apart as well, which is something that I don't think was in the original. That makes it a little bit more pressing for a ticking time clock sort of situation here. You know, you have each of the petals falling down, but every time the petal falls, it hits the ground, and, you know, the castle just falls apart. I really like that new addition. It's subtle, and it's new, and I like it. And as for everything else, the editing and the pacing, well, the pacing at times can seem a bit slow. The entire movie is really paced well. The editing, for the most part, I found pretty good. There's not a lot of problems that I have with the film. Not a lot. I think Emma Watson does a pretty good job as Belle. Perfect casting, I would say. Bill Condon, for his previous work, I would have thought this movie would suck because he did the Twilight movies, the last couple Twilight movies. And he actually does an admirable job in this film. The cast does a really great job playing their characters right. There is a couple new additions in this movie, couple omissions, that I'm actually kind of fine with. But when it comes down to it, should you pick this version over the other? And for me, that is all up to you. Do you like the animated movie so much that you wouldn't like a live-action movie? Then I guess don't watch the live-action movie. But if you are curious as to see what live-action can do for this movie, this iconic movie, then I'd say go see it. This is good. This is one movie that critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a bunch of other sites have pummeled it for being too similar to the original. And here's the thing, it's not too similar, it's just that they make subtle changes to the story and a bit more subtle changes to some of the songs as well. It's not that it's an entire recreation, it's its own adaptation as well as its own thing. It's kind of a mixed bag with it. Some people who don't like musicals might not like this movie because it does have this sort of Broadway feel to it. The way it's set up in the beginning, the way it's, the way it's performed in times can seem a bit too much like Broadway. Which is understandable for people who hate Broadway, to not like this movie, but yeah, other than that, unless you don't like Broadway or Disney or pretty much anything, you probably won't like this film. But as for everything else, I really enjoyed this film. I had fun with it, I enjoyed the music, I laughed at times, there's people in my audience, like, it was a packed house last night, and there was people behind me, like teenage girls, crying towards the end of the film. I'm like, that actually works. I almost started getting teared up because of certain things. They give Beast a couple numbers here and there, which is actually nice. Nice to hear his voice sing. But yeah, other than that, I think Beauty and the Beast is a fine sort of adaptation. Just like with The Jungle Book last year, I think it's pretty admirable. And for a film that on Rotten Tomatoes is at 67%, I pretty much... No, I don't think it deserves 67% Rotten Tomatoes. I think Beauty and the Beast 2017 deserves a 9 out of 10. It is definitely worth your time to watch, but if you're not into the whole live-action adaptation routine that Disney is doing, then stick to the original. It's definitely not worth your time if you're not into going to watch this film. So yeah, until next time, I'll see you behind the camera. Peace.